Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am SpookyLith. This is episode number 7, and today we're just going to be looking at some more headlines, looking at some of the news globally, just to see what's going on out there and put some opinions on there. After that, we're going to look at some more spooky images and just give them a rating and just see if we find anything cool. And then after that, we have some more browser games to play, some more horror-based browser games that we're going to review. So that should be interesting. And then lastly, I have some games I've got downloaded that I want to try out. I haven't played before, completely new games I've never played. So that should be interesting as well. If we get to that part, if not, that might be a separate video. I am very poorly today. I've just suddenly crashed and just... I'm curled up in a ball, struggling. But, I didn't want to miss a day so early in in this channel. So here I am, slightly poorly, slightly low energy. But I am here, and we are going to dive in and take a look at the first headline I've picked out. So the way I'm doing this, like with the news, I've looked at the articles, made sure I knew sort of what I was talking about before I start talking about them. I'm not just picking them at total random. But with the Reddit post, they are selected, like I've looked and I've opened it. So I've only had a glancing look. So when I open the tabs, we're going to analyze them for the first time, even though I've had a glance at them. And with the browser games, I haven't pre-played them. So I don't know what they contain. I don't know what they're going to be like, what kind of style they're going to be in. I just know that they're horror-based browser games. So we're going to give them a go and give them a rating. So the first headline of today is actually one from the UK. So obviously I am in the UK. I'm going to try and focus on news that affects everyone globally. But with just this one headline, this one is specific to the UK. And that is that basically the current financial plan submitted by the government is getting a lot of criticism. The main reason being, well, not criticism from the people, but it's just being criticised within the government. Because they're saying that essentially the raises to the public sector workers, which is people like nurses and police and garbage collectors and some transport lines, basically they are trying to, they're proposing that they're going to increase wages for those people, and they're basically saying that the country doesn't have the money to offer those pay rises. Now this one stood out to me because we're having another issue over here, and we're calling it the cost of living crisis. Now, the cost of living crisis is essentially that, inflation's gone up so much, the cost of goods has gone up, trade's gone up, everything's gone up except the wages, except the incomes. And what we're finding is people are struggling literally on full-time work, getting, what should be a good wage or a healthy wage, finding that they're not having enough money left behind to go towards paying all their bills, all their food, all their transport, and people are struggling. And we're calling it the cost of living crisis. The prices in shops has gone up, the prices in supermarkets is going up, the cost of power, electricity, and gas, has gone up. Everything's gotten more expensive, but the wages have, as we've known for a few years in this country, have stagnated, and it's gotten to the point where something needs to change with the wages, with people's incomes to be able to, match the rate of inflation and the increase in necessities that we're seeing. So obviously they've put forward a suggested a sort of planned pay rise to the public sector workers, and they're just saying that they don't have enough money to cover those pay rises. So the reason this stands out, again with the cost of living in consideration, it's really, really interesting to hear the government come out and say we can't afford to raise the wages of our workers, even while considering the crisis that wages are in and how far behind inflation and other price increases that the wages are. So it's interesting that they're saying we can't even afford to do this when the people are in need of these wage increases. It's not really a question of we're doing this to be nice. It is really actually a necessary wage increase just so that the public sector workers are still able to afford to keep on living and keep on paying for the things they need to pay for. So it's interesting hearing them say that it's unaffordable, it's too expensive. I'm a believer that government should have a lot of involvement in the lives of the people when it comes to certain things, and I think that ensuring the people are getting enough of an income to afford the basics is something that the government should definitely have should definitely be prioritizing. Citizens having houses, citizens being able to keep their houses warm so they don't freeze, all the things that a person needs to be able to continue to be the person that they are, which is often people's careers, whatever that might be. So we need people, being able to afford these things while performing that role in society. So again, to kind of not have that as a priority is really interesting. When it comes to making sure the workers of the government can afford to keep living, it should never be called into question if we can afford it, because as a country we should be making sure that we can afford stuff like that to ensure that the people are getting those basic needs met. And considering what this pot of money, considering some of the other stuff that it goes on, there's no reason to give that suggests raising these wages isn't a priority. We have all our usual expenditure, and it just seems like making sure there's enough funds allocated to the government workers providing these services, the nurses, the people collecting the bins, all these people. We need to make sure these people are getting paid so that they can do their best job, because their jobs are roles and jobs that directly affect us as the public. So yeah, it's really interesting that the government is saying that they don't have enough money and simply isn't enough money. But I think if we look at it from a slightly more realistic perspective, we need to be looking at the government and going, okay, well, make sure, make it enough, make sure there is enough. It's not a failure of the people that the government, because this is kind of the vibe. It's kind of what it makes us think, right? Like, we've let this country down in some way in order for the country to be in a position where we're struggling to pay for things. But it's not our fault. It really is the fault of the people who control the budget and allocate spending to not be making certain decisions at certain times that will sort of guarantee our success in the long run, because that's what they're supposed to do. So it's not a failure of the people, but it is a failure of the people if the government stops caring about the people and raising wages for its workers in times of such crisis when wages need that increase. It's a priority, and we have to really accept the reality that if people can't afford to buy things, everything's affected by that. We need people to be able to afford to pay the power companies, because otherwise what's the point keeping the lights on if no one's paying for the power, right? So it's a really interesting position to be in, and yeah, it's really upsetting to see the government basically saying, there are other things more important than ensuring our workers can afford to live. And I think that's a lot. That's a really intense stance. We obviously have Labour on the other side saying that there shouldn't be a question, and it's just a lot. It's a lot for us to process. I can understand why because obviously if the cost of everything's gone up, then the cost to the government have also increased. And I know people don't want to admit this, but I definitely noticed that right after we started enacting all this Brexit stuff, prices immediately started going up. And I think this is where it's time to look at ourselves as a country who've made this decision to make these major economic changes to our own country, even if we didn't, even without the scope that a politician might have when they're sat in the rooms trading with Europe and making these deals. Just as people on the street, just from our perception, we chose to go into this situation willingly, knowing that these things would happen. We knew trade prices would go up as a result because they're going to ask for different kinds of money, and we saw the struggle for it to get good deals. We anticipated a lot of this, and it's like here we are now in another situation where this Brexit situation is challenging us, and seeing this defeated attitude, like we can't make things work in our country now that we've sort of shifted into this new period. It's interesting to see how our government is taking this stance that we're struggling to make this work, as opposed to seeing here's how we're going to make this work. And I think that's where that's the category we need to put this in. It's not a matter of whether we kind of can't afford something at this point. It's how do we make this work? How do we afford this? Because wages do need to come up. Things are too expensive. And we're not looking at an isolated situation where they're just asking for a pay rise. We're looking at this happening in a period of time where things have become so unaffordable that wages do have to come up to match the cost of everything in order for things to continue, for businesses to continue to thrive and for people to be able to continue to live. So, really, really crucial. This really is something that's focused within the UK. This is an internal debate we're having, but, I'm not sure entirely what's going on in other countries, but I'm sure, I know that this pressure of wages raising to match the level of inflation is important, and we want to make sure our government's always, on the ball with that one, always trying to ensure that the people are able to sustain themselves. So, interesting headline, interesting to see us in this position where we're saying stuff like this, but we'll see what there is to come, because at the end of the day, the country needs to function, and as more people find themselves not being able to afford to pay for things like basic necessities, the more we're going to see other issues and other things popping up. That's increasing this overall spending anyway, just through the effects of people not being able to afford those basics. For example, the government having to shell out money to people to boost their incomes, like things that they've been doing. And if we want to see less of that kind of thing and more independence from people, then it has to be that people's incomes raised to match the cost. And that's that is the logical conclusion, and hopefully that's what we see happening and things stabilizing, especially with the COVID stuff coming in and hurting us as it did. We will bounce back. We're down but never out. But it is rough to see us having that conversation where we're not able to afford to raise wages to match the cost of everything, because that's one of the fundamental things needed for our society to function, is that there is the right amount of people able to do the right amount of things and be able to go to businesses and spend their money there. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully the situation improves, and hopefully we hear more positivity when it comes around to our finances as a country. So yeah, interesting headline. Now we'll move on to the next one. Oh, let's let it load. Right. So the next one is unprecedented protests break out in China and the ruling party will be watching. Yeah, so basically here we're talking about the protests that are going on in China. Again, we saw the headline the other day about the COVID situation and the protests and the COVID lockdowns, and obviously this protest is, it's growing. And now they're talking about down with the CCP. They want to see Xi Jinping out of his position. They're not happy anymore, and they're out there clashing with the police, raging on in protest, and they're calling for unity and for people to join them in protest. So, interesting situation there. This is an example of where the government has essentially failed enough of the people to cause something like this to happen. And, we'll see the more people join the protest, the more going on in that situation, the more we're going to see how many people do share that sentiment. We in the West hear all kinds of horror stories about the Chinese government. Obviously, there's the classic, having Google banned so people couldn't freely search for information. Just, people getting arrested for saying certain things and whatever else we hear from China. So I know even over the years we've heard they have strict policies on certain stuff, and they're just generally a very intrusive government from what we hear here in the West. So yeah, from our perspective and the stuff we hear, we could understand why people might be kind of fed up of that situation. They're saying they don't want communism anymore. These people want something different, and they obviously are looking over to the Western systems and seeing differences there, and they no longer want to be on the side of the communists. They would rather switch over and get something different, we'll say. So good for them for having that stance, wanting to see that change and taking the right, the necessary actions they feel from their position to get that change and bring that change, because as we know, with a government like China's government, trying to beat them through the ballots isn't as simple as an option. So people having to get to the streets, spread the awareness, especially in a place where this kind of conversation is censored, then this is what these people feel the need that they have to do, and we have to support them in that sense of at least they're trying to bring change it seems like, a classic protest. I'm not seeing reports of rioting, but more just clashes with the police and people, chanting and making sure they're being heard. So, I want to say good job to them just for taking whatever action they feel necessary to make the changes they want to see. Because this is the problem with like the whole voting thing, and I spoke about it before. At the end of the day, we can look at our track record of who's been in charge, and in our countries we can see, well, it's always been the same two parties, right? For the, with very, very slight variations on that, but it's always been the same two dominating parties. So the obvious solution for us to get some drastic changes would be to bring in a party that hasn't been in power yet and see what they're capable of doing. But of course, no one wants to gamble with the future. We don't want to bet our horses on an unknown variable, put it all in their hands, and then they mess it up even worse. So it's understandable why people hesitate to make these dramatic decisions. But, just to sort of say, here's the obvious action you've got to take in a certain situation, then yeah, wanting a change in government from something like communism to capitalism is no small task. It's a big deal, and unfortunately it's something that requires dramatic action and the spreading of awareness and just the idea of being out there. So they're out there, they're making noise, and they're saying they're not happy, and they're brave for doing that in front of the government from the horror stories we hear. And yeah, let's support for them. Hope it doesn't turn violent. Hope that people, there's minimal casualties, and that things are able to change in a way that works for everyone. But obviously, on the other side of this, it is the Chinese government, and they are clashing with the police. So it's a situation that, again, dramatic changes require dramatic action. Anything can happen from these kinds of situations and protests, and things can get dramatic really quickly. But hopefully the protesters have their senses. They don't want to clash with the government and just get have unfortunate situations play out, but they're going to take this as far as they feel the need to, and we've just got to support their right to express themselves politically in the streets and respect their bravery for doing it in a place where that's quite a dangerous thing to do. So yeah, interesting story. Let's see how it plays out, and let's hope for the best and hope that nobody gets themselves harmed, and that it's peaceful but impactful. But I'm not naive. I also understand that to bring drastic changes, oftentimes the solution isn't peaceful. But we do live in the modern era. We live now in the future from those past ideas, and at the end of the day, anything is possible. And if enough people band together, maybe they can make a difference through other means. Maybe they can take back over their social media. Maybe they can push back the censorship of their government and win back some of their freedoms. Who knows? Who knows what they're capable of? Only time will tell. So yeah, thought that was interesting. I think that's, after all the stuff we hear about the CCP, it's interesting to sort of see the people reflecting those ideas. So yeah, very cool. Very interesting, but also very intense, and we're hoping for the best because we know that the CCP hasn't got exactly a history of being very kind to protesters and whatnot. We know they're tough on people who speak out. We know they're strong on censorship, so we've got to really hope for the best for these people, that they're able to show that they're unhappy without suffering any serious consequences. As long as no one's hurt and as long as property is not being damaged, then at the end of the day, everyone has that right to get out in the streets and make yourself heard. So power to those people. Keep an eye on this situation. So on to the next headline. Oh bloody hell, I've clicked on something random here. I think this is... Oh no. This is very random. Minister asked if Matt Hancock should have a second chance after reaching Hammer's celeb final. I don't know what this context of this is. I must have opened a tab with one of these tweets, but the headline itself is pretty wacky. I mean, that's a TV show in the UK, and I don't know. It's not the right headline. So on to the next one. Here we go. And this one we've got a bit of Kanye West. I'm sure you figured it was only a matter of time before we brought up one of the big ones, one of the big four, big five, whatever it is. But yes, Kanye West, apparently accused of showing porn I'm assuming off his phone and images of his ex-wife. It's got him in the news because obviously he's now being investigated for it as some kind of sexual harassment at work. And all of this is obviously coming off the back of his recent comments that he made on Twitter, got him kicked off of there, and then obviously is losing a lot of deals, and generally just not having a good time as a result of that. So what can we even say? I mean, I'm sure he made a comment and he said something along the lines of, if I say anti-Semitic stuff, then I can get away with it, and Adidas won't drop me. And then Adidas dropped him, and now Adidas is investigating him, and it looks like they're really trying to show him that they're not willing to tolerate that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're seeing what looks like a really nasty crash for him. All I can really say is he really shouldn't have said the stuff he said. You know, the solution to racism isn't more racism. It isn't more of that kind of attitude. The solution is to grow, is growth, unity, and not being horrible to each other for things like skin color and whatever else, right? That's the idea. That's what we want. We want unity, not that separation. And his way of, his comments was a big act of separation. And it's kind of like, just more racism on top of the racism we already see. So we didn't need it. And Adidas is letting him know that they didn't want it. And yeah, that is the situation with Kanye West right now. So yeah, that's Kanye West, one of the big four. And yeah, it looks like he's having a hard time. But he's also never been more popular, and everyone's talking about him. So who knows if he was trying to do a 5 brain move, but instead did a half brain move. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, because I haven't got the headline up, but I just read that he was making comments that he'd asked Trump to be his vice president in the next election race, and Trump just came out and basically called him a weirdo. So very strange times for Kanye West. But if you're a historical fan of Kanye, you know that he kind of does just crazy stuff and then drops a bunch of music. So maybe that's really his plan here. But seeing the Adidas stuff and seeing him drop from there and get in trouble there makes me think other things. But we'll see. We'll see if it's just another stunt. We'll see if he gets back with Adidas. We'll see what happens. Kanye West is known for these kinds of crazy antics, but at the same time, it does look like he's got a lot happening in his world right now. So, yep, we'll see how that plays out, and wish him the best. And he shouldn't have said what he said. That's wrong. We don't do that. That's not how things get better. And I can't say whether he deserves what's happening or doesn't deserve what's happening, because I don't know this person in reality, and I don't know the people who work for this company. All I can say is, going out there and saying a bunch of really racist stuff shouldn't end well for anybody. Especially when we're talking about corporations like Adidas and other corporations that have had stuff like this occur. At the end of the day, if you go out there and say some racist stuff, expect some kind of backlash somewhere. While it might be legal to say that, especially in America with the free speech stuff, it doesn't mean corporations and people have to like it. So that's what we're looking at, and that's the situation. We'll see what happens next for him. But all the best, just simply for the past music that he gave us, and unfortunately, it's sad to see him kind of go down as just a racist, and it kind of sucks, but that is where it is. He said what he said, so we've got to just let that situation play out now with Adidas. So yep, getting himself into trouble, sexual harassment, and we'll see what happens next with that. So on to the next headline. We have this article. Well, why do we have this article? Okay, yeah, I don't know why I've opened this one. I think it was more just 3 possible scenarios, and this is something that it's not just relevant to the US, but is literally it says, that is what it says in the headline. It's relevant for the world, and this isn't just an example of things happening here can affect everyone, but also just the idea itself. This is what the world's looking like. There's 3 scenarios. Everything goes really liberal, everything goes really conservative, or something else happens, and who knows what that something else could be. It's up to us to make that something else, if that's what we need as a planet, as a country, as nations. Who knows? But yeah, just the wording of this headline stood out for me. Just there's 3 possible scenarios. The fact that whatever affects such a big nation affects everybody, and things that are happening just in other countries can come back and affect other countries, and it's It's really deep, really interesting, and we've got to make sure that we're thinking bigger in this era, because it's not just about home turf anymore, it's about our interactions with the other nations around us too. So this kind of thing is important. This article itself, we're not going to read because we don't want to read too much content from this website anyway, but yeah, the wording of the headlines definitely stood out to me as interesting. So yeah, on to the next one. Okay, so here we have the mugshot of the shooter from the Club Q event, and I'm sure, this has been out for a few days now. I'm sure many of you have seen this. This is the guy. He looks really roughed up. Obviously, something happened to him where he's gotten really injured. But yeah, generally just an unpleasant looking individual. He looks unkempt. He looks like his life's rough. He doesn't look like a clean, well-trimmed person. Obviously, he is injured too, so he looks kind of dirty, but he also is very injured. And yeah, just what you kind of would expect from some rogue, potentially drug user shooter who potentially is a risk of doing this kind of thing. And these people can get a hold of weapons and they can go and act on whatever urge or whatever whim they fancy, even when violent, or with these guys' cases, especially when violent. So it sucks to see. He's taking lives away. Hopefully he gets, punished properly and justice is served, because yeah, horrible situation, horrible thing to do. There were kids there were young people at the event, and he put their lives in danger, and it's just a horrible situation from, this individual right here. So yeah, not much to say about him, but that is the face of someone who just murdered a bunch of people, and it's horrible to look at, and we hate to see it, and we hope he loses his freedom and gets the adequate punishment. Yeah, because we don't need it in this society. We just don't need it. So, on to the next article. So, here we have Twitter to launch gold and grey verification ticks. Basically, what it sounds like, we saw that he took the original verification mark you had on Twitter, which was just a way of saying I am this particular individual. Generally famous people, or it used to just be like famous people, celebrities and big businesses that could get them by proving they were really who they were. It did get a bit more relaxed, and it just kind of became relaxed. It became about anybody who's about 100,000 followers or something like that, and then you would get a verification that way. And now with Elon Musk taking over Twitter, it's obviously changed. So now you buy a membership and you can become verified. And that had a lot of people saying, alright, so how will we know who's real? Obviously we saw a lot of jokes coming out about Twitter, a lot of people, putting it down, saying it was going to fail, saying this was a mistake, because they're charging for verification, which we've all heard about. So with this Twitter verification, we saw a lot of chaos on Twitter, but now they're saying they're bringing out two new ticks, two new colours, which is gold and grey. Now, I think now that they've announced this, it's become really obvious what the plan was with the verification tick, which was to take something that meant, I'm just verified as this person, and changing it to I'm verified as this person in this particular way. So you can distinguish between, let's say, the original verification and the bought one. Now you can distinguish between, a government agency and a corporation. Next it'll be musicians, and people will be getting verified in their own fields. It might not go that deep, but it's definitely coming out with categorized verifications, meaning, I would imagine he probably had this planned all along, because all it's really doing is solving that initial problem of, well, how can you tell who's who? Well, now you'll be able to tell, because they'll have a specific colour. It makes sense. It brings back the individuality of having a tick, as in, this means something, I should be saying. And more importantly, it shows the game plan. Here's something that's just like out there for free. Let's charge for it, change its meaning, expand it, and we can use it differently, use it for profit, and use it for whatever other reason. So, from a pure trying to make money from Twitter sense, we can understand the logic. Take something that's free and charge for it. How can we charge for this? We give it new features, and just trying to expand an already well-established system. Everyone's got their opinion on Twitter. Everyone's always, I prefer the old version of every website anyway. Who knows what the future of Twitter is going to look like, but with him bringing in this scheme and there's, you know, these different colours, and I imagine there's probably going to be a few more things that change in this way to just distinguish. I hate to say it, and it's something that I'm sure most people would like to idealistically avoid, but is unavoidable and probably shouldn't be, is that, you know, we basically want to be sure that the people who are genuine corporations, celebrities, politicians are distinguishable from just your regular Joe. And it's kind of brutal to put it in that sense, but really that's what the verification tick was all about. It let us know that this was the genuine person saying this and not just some other random person with the same name. But also that these people, especially earlier in the verification days, it also just meant like these people were verified as being considered by Twitter to be some kind of celebrity or some kind of popular figure. And that's kind of what people are really saying they want to keep. They want to keep that distinction, so they know when they go onto some celebrity's page, they're seeing the words of their chosen celebrity or their chosen podcast or their chosen company, and you want to be sure that that's who you're talking to, right? So this seems like a way for them to do that, expanding on the idea, bringing in new colours, so you'll be able to say, oh, this is the certified, this is the real Nike, this is the real McDonald's, because they'll have a gold verification tick that only a company or a corporation can get. So it looks like they're expanding, you know, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a few more colours come out and ultimately just expand the whole verification system, so that maybe people can, like, maybe there'll be tabs for verifications, like all the gold ones, all the grey ones, who knows. But yeah, it's interesting because of all the sort of hype around this situation, the criticism Elon Musk is getting for this decision, and for me, I'm more interested just to see what happens than I am invested. I'm not very invested in Twitter. I stopped using it a bit ago, started using it again a little bit, was never overly invested, so I've got no stakes in this one. It's interesting to see what's happening and just to see what Elon Musk ends up doing with Twitter. And it looks like this membership scheme, and obviously these different verification marks, and just this general cleaner. Clearly we can see from his immediate move that the goal here is to monetize, and that's what he's trying to do while also improving the features of the site. So we'll see what that leads to. We'll see what happens. A subscription Twitter though, I'm not sure I'm on board with that, but I guess it's there as an option, and I'm sure it comes with some perks that, depending on what you're doing on Twitter, if you are trying to run some kind of career on there, maybe it will be a good option for you. That's hard to say at this point until we get the full developed features out and see what kind of things you do get. But yeah, interesting stuff, and again, something we'll be keeping an eye on as Twitter evolves over time. So new colours coming in, new verification marks, and again we'll be able to distinguish the real deal from the parodies. And yeah, so we'll see. He's trying to address the problems that people might say he's creating, but maybe he needed to create these problems to solve some other problems. We don't know. We don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. It's interesting stuff, it's entertaining, and we'll just see what happens with Twitter. It is still standing. He tweeted that the other day. Twitter is still online. People said it would be down. It is still online, so we'll see for how much longer, I guess. But yeah, that's our Elon news. That's our Elon Musk news. I mean, we have got another one here, another headline about him, but this is again, well, I don't think I've spoke about this, but it's not that big of a deal. He's basically going to unsuspend all banned accounts that weren't spam accounts. Now, I know I just said it's no big deal, but it obviously is a big deal for the website. Unbanning all these accounts that have just been removed, as we can see listed here, primarily for, you know, freedom of speech reasons, saying things that have got you banned from Twitter, and potentially harassment and just other things. So it's a big bold move, because the people have been banned for various reasons, but as he's come out and said, well, he feels that a lot of people got banned just for saying stuff that they should be allowed to say. So he's made the decision based on a vote, democratic, made the decision to unblock all those people and set them free from Twitter jail. So we're going to be seeing a lot of these accounts that even maybe, we don't know if it's going to be the parody accounts, but he hasn't, as far as I'm aware, hasn't excluded them. So it'd be interesting to see all these parody accounts, all these jerk accounts, all these sort of alternate celebrity accounts, just all the things that people were getting banned for, just come back to the site and just kind of see for the day or two that these people stay unbanned, just see what kind of what kind of things happen on the website, because it's going to be a big day. A lot of big accounts that lost their rights for access are going to be sat by their login on that day, waiting for it to unban them. And it should be a big bunch of chaos, and there's going to be some headlines coming from it for sure, because people are going to say ridiculous stuff. It's going to be a wild situation, potentially. And it could also be a nothing burger, because let's face it, who remembers the password to their old Twitter account? Not me. Not personally. I'll have to make a new one. But yeah, interesting move. It was overwhelmingly popular, and yeah, it's that rare moment where a website decides we're going to unban everybody who's been banned, over the course of the website being online. So, big move, really interesting. Could be something, could be nothing, but I'm guessing we're going to see a lot of chaos from this. And yeah, so such a simple move, just unbanning everyone. Let's see what kind of effect that's going to have on the social media world. We should get a laugh out of it, if nothing else. We will see. And yeah, I believe it's going to be next week, or maybe I'm off with that. Yes, that's next week, the amnesty. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Be looking forward to seeing if there's anything interesting, any chaos, any events taking place. And it'll be also going to be really interesting to see if these recent parody accounts get their account back, because we saw a string of people getting banned for parody accounts and parodying Elon Musk and other people. So it'll be interesting to see if they get their accounts back. And yeah, we'll see what happens next week when the amnesty begins. So that's that Elon Musk news. But that was more about Twitter than Elon Musk himself. But yeah, we will see what happens very soon. So yeah, on to the next article. Excuse me. We have this one here. Could arts funding cuts and cost of living crisis affect your favourite TV shows and films? Of course, just talking about, again, the situation here in the UK that we're calling the cost of living crisis. And long story short, we're just talking about the idea that if everything's getting more expensive, will things like the entertainment industry continue to chug along, producing at the same rate that it is? It makes me think about, TV shows taking breaks, save money, taking longer for productions, and it's like a knock-on effect where it affects an industry that you might not expect, like the price of bread going up, people being able to afford that, then not afford this, less money moving around, less money able to get into the hands of people such as the entertainment industry, be it movies, music, games. And yeah, people are buying less stuff, they're streaming less, they're paying for less services. We're going to see that industry hit too. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on with this crisis. The solution is to raise wages, but no one can afford to raise their wages. But then everything's gotten more expensive, and we've hit just that situation where it's like, right, we need to make a change and we need to shift things, and then things are going to settle out, and then eventually we'll be back to something stable. But at the present moment, till things change, until things do happen, we are in it, we are deep in it, and we're going to be feeling the effects of it for the time to come, and it's going to, affect other things too. But I also like this headline because it just also makes me think like something that's interesting about the entertainment industry, how important it is to us, how much we do rely on entertainment as an industry to provide certain things for us. A lot of what we do is entertainment, whether we're on social media, whether we're on YouTube, whether we're watching TV, listening to music, even, people who work on this stuff as well, they're glued to their computers, and it's just like, yeah, these people are affected by this. So yeah, the entertainment industry is very vital. We are very dependent on it as a culture and as a society, and especially in these times where, the cost of living is going up, we can't afford to go out. We need to be sure that we have plenty of entertainment to get us through those dark times. So sad to see it being affected by this situation, but it makes sense. We're all affected. We're all feeling it. And when we're going through times of economic struggle, all we have to do is just stick together and just try and make the best of it. It's in the hands of the government to shuffle these kinds of things around. It's in the hands of the government to get these wages raised. They set the minimum wage for us, and they tell us what the baseline pay is. And it's, you know, at the end of the day, it's the job of the government to deal with this crisis, fix this situation, and get us out of it. And I'm sure they will with time, as you know they're supposed to do. They're working on it, and hopefully we see the situation improving with time. So, yep, on to the next headline. So here we are again with Ukraine, the Ukraine situation. Right now they're basically saying that the soldiers, the army, are basically ready for, because obviously we're in the winter period now, things are getting cold, weather's, you know, changing, snow's coming, and the Ukraine army are basically being said to be better equipped for dealing with these conditions than the Russian army. And with the way things are going, Russia appears to be making some retreats. They're here, you know, they're about to leave a power plant that they've been occupying behind and basically retreat. So interesting to see that. Again, we're talking about the Russian army looking strange, looking wounded, strained, wounded, injured, and retreating. And this is what we want to see. We don't want to see them sort of desperately holding the line and desperately holding on, even when they're sort of outmatched. We want to see them retreating. We want to see them overwhelmed and pushed back. And that is what we appear to be seeing at the present moment. Looking really good for the Ukraine, good for our friend who's soon to be ally. Once this whole thing's over, and yeah, you know, it's awesome to see that retreat happening, because it means whatever the Ukraine are doing right now, it's working, and Russia are backing off and retreating. So some positive news to counterbalance the news we had the other day about the shells sort of showing a bit more desperation. Now we kind of have the opposite being said, that the Russians are actually just backing down instead of getting more desperate. So good stuff, good to hear. It's a sign of hopefully things to come, and we want the Russians to back down. We want the Russians to retreat and to go back home and to end this conflict. So that's a step in the right direction. Let's hope that we get to the end with as few casualties as possible. So yep, on to the last headline now. And again, we'll basically bring it back to the start. We have another headline just talking about how China is currently dealing with this situation with the protests. And basically, we're just saying here, these protests seem determined. They're clashing with the police, getting sprayed by the police, and holding their position. And they're still going out there, still showing up, and they're very passionate about what's going on. So again, we watch the situation, see how it unfolds there, because, you know, we've heard so much horror stories from their government. A lot of us kind of predicted that this would happen. You know, eventually China would have to make something happen if they weren't happy with their government doing the things that they've been reported as doing. So it looks like that's happening now. It has happened over the COVID lockdowns, sure enough, but the talks that are coming from the people are more about their disdain for their government than it is about COVID itself. The people are just not happy, they're fed up, and this was clearly the final straw. So eyes on the situation, and we hope for, you know, as much peace as we can get from the situation for everybody involved. So that's basically it for the headlines. That's the news. Yeah, and that's what's going on in the world right now and in the UK. And we're hoping for the best for everyone. That's what we want. That's how things should be. And it's just a matter of time before we see what these situations end up being. So, yeah, lots going on. But that's the end of the news section, and now we're going to move on to our scary review part. So, on this section, I've basically gone onto Reddit. I've kind of just glanced through a few of the sort of horror Reddits and just picked out some of the posts that stood out to me today. The ones that just gave me a quick feeling just as I glanced at them, and then we're going to look at them together and analyse them and really get a feel for what the artist or what the situation is trying to get across to us. So we'll get started with that. I'm on this subreddit here called Ask Scary, but unfortunately everything here is a YouTube video, and I don't want to go playing people's videos not knowing sort of how the whole claiming situation works. But, you know, do go check that out if you like some spooky stuff. There's some interesting stuff on here. But yeah, we can't play anything until I sort of get an understanding of how claiming and copyright works, which I just have no idea right now. So, on to the first post. And we're going to just jump in and start reviewing these pictures and these posts. So, the first one here, posted by user Mean Mr. Mustard, MMM, Mean Mr. Mustard, is a picture of a beetle with its head completely removed and its body left intact. And I mean, do I even need to say anything about this picture? I don't know. It's an odd picture. It's an odd feeling. There's something just off about the hollowed out bug. It's kind of different, and yeah, caught my attention. It's a very artsy picture, but I wouldn't want it on my wall because I know I'd look like some kind of deranged serial killer. But yeah, it's an interesting picture. It's an interesting thing to see. You gotta wonder what hollowed it out, what took its head, what did all that. Something definitely ate this bug and just left behind the parts it didn't want. It's very gruesome, very vivid, very nature. Very nature is metal, you know. Very cool. So that was posted by Mean Mr. Mustard on Reddit. Very cool picture. Very interesting and got a vibe to it, you know. It's definitely got a uncomfortable vibe to it. So we like that. Definitely has a feeling. And we're going to move on to the next one. So next up we have... Oh yeah, this one, right. The drill video. Now, before this plays some copyrighted music, I want to pause it, right? So it's not about the actual post. It's actually just about this subreddit in general. I'm in the UK, and I grew up with, you know, certain types of music, and the thing that spooks me the most about this is just simply to see how that culture, that, you know, we're going back to drum and bass and jungle, moving up to grime, moving up to what we now have as drill. And it's sad to see that the culture developed in such a... Because if you know anything about the genre drill, it's a UK style of rap. It's very aggressive, very gang-based, very dark, very much about the sort of more violent, more... You know, if you took like a gritty story and made it grittier, then that's what drill's really going for. It's very dark stuff, very crime-based, and very gang-like. And, you know, I understand why people do like the music, in terms of, like, you know, when the music's on and it feels, you know, they want to dance to it, they're enjoying this, just a general vibe. It's dark and it's real to them because they feel like the world's dark. But for someone like me who grew up with sort of a different era of this type of music and other types of music as well, to see this category of music sort of devolve into something so dark, and I know it's popular amongst like the younger people in this country, and they love this sound, they love this style. It's very aggressive, and it's just sad and scary to see how we went from what was already considered rather violent when I was younger to this even higher level of that type of violence. And it bothers me, it saddens me, because I used to love this type of music, like, you know, just urban music in general. I used to love it, and then now I just don't enjoy it and I avoid it, and when I hear it, I'm generally quite uncomfortable with what I'm hearing. So, you know, kind of scary for a different reason. I put it in more as a joke, but not a joke, just as a, this isn't even scary, this is just some people doing music. But no, the reason I'm actually sharing this isn't because of the music, it's just because of the genre and the kind of attitudes that the genre brings. And yeah, it's scary to me to see that culture devolve so far into the gang stuff, into the crime stuff, but it does really speak to the attitude of our youth in this country that enjoy this type of music. So, scary for a different reason. This is our reality, and if you go listen to some of this music, UK drill, you will understand what it is I'm talking about and why it is here in this list. So, bit of an odd one for you, but yeah. And we're not going to play the music because it'll be copyrighted, and we'll move on to the next post. So, loading up. Reddit can be a bit sluggish on this computer. I mean, it's just sluggish when you use the main site. Anyway, I prefer to use the app. There's a reader app that does a really good job, loads it really quickly. But we're on PC. We're on the browser, so this is how we're dealing with it. So this one is from our UK Personal Finance, posted by a user similar _presence _774, and it's a question they've asked: how do you afford living by yourself? And they're basically saying they get a certain income, and they've calculated how much it's going to cost, and they want to know how do you make this situation affordable. Again, it's less about the post here and more about just the topic. Again, speaking on this cost of living crisis, the fact that people just can't afford to pay for everything while working full time, while getting a decent salary and are still struggling. It's scary economically because obviously if you're trying to run businesses, if you're trying to have a thriving community, then people need to be earning enough money to be able to put that money into the community. And what we're seeing all over the place here right now is that people are not able to afford to put that money into the community like they're supposed to. And we have a save culture too. There's people saving money that won't spend a bean or a dime. And obviously that money's not going into the system, and these are the attitudes we're dealing with, is people either don't have enough, or the people that have enough are holding it because scary times ahead, and it's creating this scary situation where people can't afford anything. And it's only a matter of time before those pressures become too much, and combine it with what I was saying about how sort of the street culture has gotten even more violent and even more gang-based. People can't afford things are getting even worse in terms of crime and in terms of people engaging with these gangs, and you can already see where the crisis is looming across the board. It's just like people can't afford to pay for stuff. Things start happening in the criminal world. So again, hoping the government figures out a way to solve this problem, figures out where we can get this money from, because the country has money, it's just a matter of how it's being spent, and hopefully we can get this under control before we start seeing. Because it's already winter, it's already close to Christmas, crime spikes are already happening. We don't want to see those spikes being bigger than they were in previous years. We always want that to be smaller, and people not being able to afford things is not the way to get that peak smaller. So we've got to be careful, and we've got to make sure we sort it out before it really does turn into a problem. People need to afford things, they do. And believe it or not, people need to have money spare to spend at shops. They do, because businesses don't make money if people are not spending there. So we've got to keep that in mind collectively. People need to have money. We can't be working and having nothing left over after we pay bills, because then the community is not seeing the benefit. The people can't afford to go to their local shops. The local community sees no benefit, and the community starts to die out, as we're seeing with all this online stuff. And it's just not a good place for us to be. But we'll see what happens anyway. Let the government do what they're doing, and if they don't sort the wages out, they're going to see a lot more people in the streets. So it's in their hands. Wish them the best solving this problem. We'll see if they have what it takes to do so. So on to the next post now. Keep moving forwards with this. We're already on 52 minutes, so we've got to keep moving, because we've got a couple of games to play at the end. But so this is what eye rubbing looks like from an MRI scanner. I've opened this and I haven't checked it, but I don't know if it's copyrighted. I'm talking over it, but this is what the eye looks like when someone's rubbing their eyeball while it's being MRI scanned. Weird video. Very surreal to see the eye just kind of bobbing around like that. Very strange video, very cool. Thank you to user Sophia Carter XO for sharing it. I don't know if it's copyrighted, but hopefully not. We just showed a clip anyway. And yeah, very fascinating, very cool to see the eye moving in such a way. Who knew it moved like that on a little stalk, right? So here we have something from Our Creepy, a spooky picture of a ghost. It's not the best Photoshop I've ever seen. It looks very fake and very out of place, but I just liked it. It caught my attention just because it has a little bit of something to it, and I liked it. It's nice and creepy. It looks like they have hair, but then it also looks like they don't on the screen, so I can't tell if they've got hair. But it's a cool little picture, and I liked it. It just gave me a little spooky vibe. So thank you to user Dank Booty Kush for sharing this. It's titled Visitor, and it's nice and different and vivid, and gave me a nice little feeling. So on to the next one now. So I don't know if I can show this one. I think I know which one this is. Yeah, so alright, it shouldn't be too bad. There's no blood or anything. But this is posted by user Davy Joneses. You see they got quite a good amount of upvotes, some awards, and it's called Sad Girl Hours. I did see this the other day, but today I've decided to put it in. Just for the, it's just for the freakiness. She's sewing her eyes and her mouth shut. I'm so sick of feeling everything. She's clearly had enough, and she's decided to self-harm by sewing her eyes and her mouth closed. Very, very spooky. Very sort of asylum vibes, but it does look like a page from a comic or some kind of anime manga or something. So this might be like from something, but still a very cool, panel from that comic if that's where it is. Yeah, very, very weird, very cool. And now we'll go to the next one. So this one's for the memes. But we have Mario EXE. So this is posted by user Ahadriolu, and it's of a spooky serial killer Super Mario. He's got his bloody knife or his axe, his hatchet. He's bleeding from his orifices, and he's obviously just murdered something and probably looking like he's in some kind of frenzy trying to do it again. So, you know, classic spooky Mario meme, but this is posted in Scary Technology, so I don't know why that is. This might actually be from the Mario EXE, I have no idea, if there is even one. And yeah, nice and weird. Definitely has a very, very, very small amount of uncanny sort of when you first look at it, but then it just kind of becomes a cool sort of blood-soaked picture of Mario too. But yeah, I just liked it. I thought, why not show it, because it just looks kind of funky, doesn't it? So anyway, on to the next one, because we are, you know, we've only got limited time here, so we're gonna have to be careful. And on this one we have the chairs that put themselves away. So as you can see, they clap their hands and the chairs just return to their position. Interesting technology. You know, if you have an office where people are genuinely genuinely forgetting to put their chairs back, and it's really that annoying, you can get chairs that will roll across the floor and put themselves back. But yeah, it's definitely got that spooky feeling. It looks just like a human's pushing it in, but they're not, so it definitely has a poltergeist feeling to it. It's nice and different. You know, there could be mischief with these videos on YouTube, if you didn't know. But yeah, just cool to look at, and it's got a slightly uncanny feeling with the chairs moving themselves. But this is just a sign of the technology to come. I mean, this is actually an old post too, but it just goes to show the kind of stuff we can be expecting when the future starts rolling in. Very cool little robot chairs, fun to look at. So next post we have, this one's a good one. We have meet the police robot going out his way to make traffic stops safer, posted by you Pope Scug, SCUG. So we have here, I don't know if this video is copyrighted by these guys, so they've got their tags there, but basically it's a robot that will deploy itself from a police car when they pull somebody over, and we'll have a robot attached that will immediately begin recording and printing off instructions and whatever else. Fascinating idea to have a police car just shoot a robot at people. I imagine in a place like America where there's shootings routinely happen, that something like this could avoid that situation, or give the officers some kind of, you know, pre-warning, and just have them have something that's, you know, bulletproof, go up to the window first. So cool for something like that. You could book people a lot faster. They can talk to them from inside the police car, of course, so it just allows them to get the processing done really quickly, and they get everything on film from a different angle. You know, they've got the person's face just straight away. So very cool, very different. Whether it's spooky, I mean, people often protest police powers, but the people I've heard do that are people who don't necessarily want the police to be looking into them. So I think in reality, as a society, it would be a good thing. It will make things safer, especially for the officers. And, you know, it's cool to see these kind of robots getting use out there in the world. So interesting. I'll be curious to see what people think of that. So do comment below how you felt about the police robot. But very cool. Looks very efficient. Just shoots off the end of the car, and then boom, it's right in your face, filming you and everyone in the car, right? So if there's passengers, you've got them recorded, you can see them running through the door. Very cool, definitely a sign of the future. I liked it, and that was that post. So again, next post we have here is titled "This is Terrifying," and it's a picture posted by user aroller7396, and it's basically a picture of an individual wearing a radium mask so that they can receive treatment for cancer. Now, immediately this picture is obviously, it's 100 years old, it's in black and white, and it's just a creepy picture because his eyes are covered, it's black and white, and then we have this machination. It almost looks like something from Saw, right? So I thought it was a really cool picture. I saw that if you could see the person's eyes, it probably wouldn't look as intense, but because their eyes are blocked out like that in that way, it makes it really creepy. Really cool picture. Yeah, and it just shows sort of the machinations that have been in use, and medicine can be scary sometimes or can look scary, but it's doing something good, something beneficial. It's treating his cancer, but a nice spooky picture, especially with the eyes blanked out, just gives it a really uncanny feeling. So very cool, really like that one. And with that, we'll go on to the next. So here we have one titled "Who Figured This Out?" It was actually removed, so unfortunately it might be harder to find now, but it was posted by user particular-cry-778, and it's titled "Who Figured This Out?" And it's a picture of a gun turret of some kind, with maybe on a helicopter or something, saying the warning that if rotated, the gun will fire. So if you rotate this thing with your hands, the gun will go off. And the title "Who Figured This Out?" gives you the context, just the idea that you could just mess with this thing and someone could potentially lose their life. So it's an interesting case of why was this warning needed, but I guess if the gun's going to shoot when you touch it and you're playing with it, you don't want to accidentally lean on it, then obviously it's good to know that if you rotate the gun by hand, it will fire. So more of a real world scare, like some military, like this is the kind of thing that they're around while they're on duty, while they're doing certain things. If they lean on it, if they brush against it, it could go off and someone could get very, very much hurt. So interesting sign. This is in the category scary signs, and that is quite an intense thing to read. If you was reading this in person, you'd be very uncomfortable with this machine unless you knew where it was. So anyway, interesting post, and now we're going to move on. So this is another sign titled "Pretty Chillin'," and it reads, "The mountains will be just as cold and lonely tonight as they were 200 years ago. Do not ski it alone." So here we have a warning sign basically saying if you get stranded in these mountains, don't expect anybody to be coming by. It is nature and it is a mountain, and the conditions are pretty much set in stone, we'll say. So if you go up there messing around, you've got to keep it in mind that the mountains will freeze over, you will be alone, and no one's coming to find you until the next day, kind of thing. So quite an intense sign, very vivid, because it just the wording, the mountains will be just as cold and lonely tonight as they were 200 years ago, tells you everything you need to know about the situation. 200 years ago, they weren't coming looking for people on the mountains, and today, now, they're also not going to be doing that. So yeah, quite vivid, quite a vivid telling of the situation you might be finding yourself in. So look out for that. Good sign. If you're seeing it though, make sure you heed its warning, because you got to be careful out there. Don't want you getting lost. So last post now. "If you talk too much, this man may die." And this is apparently a mirror from World War II. And it simply states, if you talk too much, this man may die. And it's a mirror, and the person can see himself in the reflection. And of course, it's an old school propaganda poster, basically implying that you talking about stuff you don't know who you're talking to could get somebody killed, and the warning is it might be you. So nice and vivid, strong message, and definitely intense, because it's just like it leaves a lot of mystery. Like if you talk too much and you're thinking, you never know who you're talking to, and putting people on edge and a level of paranoia that's present. And yeah, fascinating to look at. I love stuff that comes from history, because it just shows sort of where people's heads were at, and we can compare to where people are now and just look at those differences. It's fascinating, and yeah, very cool to look at, especially when we're looking in hindsight. Lots of respect for the people living through this kind of thing, because it must have been really intense. And yeah, here's a piece of history, which I don't know if this is real, or it was posted in propaganda posters, and I think they kind of check for that kind of thing. But it's very cool, very vivid, and a strong message from the government of the time. So yeah, that was our spooky section. We didn't really review them, we more just looked at them and kind of just shared our thoughts on them. But same kind of thing, we're looking to get spooked and made uncomfortable or feel some type of way. So hopefully some of these things have achieved that, some of them maybe not. I've shared my opinion on them, and you tell me what you think below, and we'll compare notes on these images. But I thought there was a good selection. Appreciation to all the people who are posting this stuff, and we hope to keep it up and give us more stuff that we can look at and review. So with that, we're going to move on to the last section now, because this video has reached an hour, so we're going to have to get to we're going to have to end it after the next section. But the next section is going to be these browser games. They're supposed to be horror games. They're supposed to be scary. They're based in the browser. We can play them just in our browser. So we're going to take a look at 4 of them. I haven't tried them. I don't know what to expect. And hopefully we find some gems, some good stuff, some spooky stuff. And we'll give them a review. And we'll see how things go. So, yep, let's get on with that. So with that, we're back. I just took a short break, and now we're going to jump in and try these browser games and see just how spooky they are. So the very first one is titled Last Train Home, available on itch.io, and it says here below that this is a short story. Sorry, it would help if I could read, wouldn't it? I'm just trying to read them quickly, and I'm just not getting the words in. So this is a short horror adventure game about being stuck on a train. Loosely based on a story of the same name I read on the internet, this game was submitted to Minijam 47. The whole thing was written in C. Didn't totally manage to finish it, but that's been crossed out, and it says there's an ending now. Thanks for playing. So with that, we're going to jump in and see just what this game is. And we can find their Twitter here, HBY_stuff. So if we like this, go check them out. If not, we can go tell them why and give them a fair review. If they're still, assuming they're still around. So, movement keys, arrow keys to move, and I don't know what that symbol is to interact, but we move with the arrow keys, so off we go. Oh, we've got something here. X key. Oh, it's a sleeping homeless person on the train, no problem. Damn, this lighter doesn't work. Oh, okay. I'll try to do the voices, but we'll just see. Got a little girl running around. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. Okay. Just skipping around. We can keep going. We've got a woman. Looks like she's heaving over the edge. Yeah, she's throwing up. Yep, she's just having a bad time. Or he, but they're just having a bad time. We'll leave them be. Got another person. No, this is not it either. You there, young man. Have you seen the latest papers? I've been looking for it everywhere. If you happen to find it, please bring it to me. Okay, so he's looking for the latest paper. This isn't the way to go. Okay. So we gotta go back the way we just came, looking for a paper. Let's see if we can find one on the other side of the train. We'll just go back, all the way back, past all of this, all the way back. And then we have the homeless guy. Oh, hey there, brother. I didn't see you there. Is there something you need? Or you want one of my newspapers? Well, for sure, brother. I can only give you one, though, or I'll get cold. Which one do you want? This one? Never mind. So we'll take this one. Here you go. Sleep tight, brother. And he gave us a newspaper, and off he went back to sleep. Thinking we wanted to sleep, he's wished us a good night. But we're gonna go take it to the gentleman with the newspapers and just see what happens next. So here you go. Ah, the papers you're holding is exactly what I'm looking for. Thanks a bunch, young man. Here, take this. They gave us a lighter. I have no use for it anymore. And there we go. So we got a lighter from him in exchange for the newspaper, so now we can set stuff on fire. But we have nothing that needs to be lit on fire right now, so we're just gonna walk around. I shouldn't have spoken to her, because we should have known she'd say the same bloody thing. We're gonna go see if we can give the lighter to the smoker guy, because it makes sense if he might want a lighter from us. So, yep. Hey kid, that lighter you're holding, could you let me borrow it? Ah, that hits the spot. You know, kid, this was going to be my last cigarette. I was going to retire from the force too. After this last train ride, I'll go home and see my family. Here, look, a picture of my dog. Ain't she cute? Anyway, kid, smoking is bad for you. Here's a bit of intel for you. The lass who's sick between the 2 cars, she dropped something of hers earlier. I saw a child took it. What could a child want with something like that? Anyways, kid, take it easy. So, obviously he drops, he's found something. He's here on was he here on some kind of case, or he's on his train home? And he says that the girl dropped something and a child picked it up, so I'm guessing that the child is going to be this one. We'll find out. Hi, mister. You want what that lady dropped? Sure, mister, but you have to answer a question first. Ready? Here goes. Which way do you think the train is going? Oh, which way do I think the train's going? Well, just basically looking from what I've seen, I would have said east. So that's what you think. Haha, wrong. That was a trick question. We're not going east or west. Huh? Where exactly is it that we're going? You're funny, mister. Shouldn't you know where you want to go before getting on a train? Since you answered my question here, and we get a pill bottle, you better give it to her soon, mister. She's getting pretty sick. Okie doke. So she dropped some pills and she's clearly having a bad time. So we'll go over to her. Ah, you found my medicine. That's better. Sir, you're a lifesaver. I can't believe. Wait. This is all wrong. You shouldn't be here. Listen, you have to leave. Quick, follow me. And with that, we're going to chase after her. I think the little girl's disappeared. Something seems to be very wrong. Everyone's disappeared. No one in sight. We'll keep going along the train. And now we're in the darkness with the lighter. Everyone's disappeared, there's no lights on. Getting dark and intense. But with that we'll keep going. See where this leads. We're walking along the train. It's starting to get cobwebs. Seems to just be going on endlessly with more and more webs appearing. Oh, I think someone was standing there. No, that's my imagination. It won't open, so we've hit a dead end and the lights have gone dark. Can't see anything. It's just something appears to be approaching. It's gone silent. Oh, it's a giant spider. Oh, panic mode, we can't do anything. It's getting closer. Quick, get in here. And it looks like we've been served. That was close. You almost became her food. Or worse. Listen, thanks for helping me, but you need to get out of here. This train can't take you home. All you need to do is spin around 7 times. You hear me? 7 times. Don't forget. She's told him how to leave. Looks like this is my stop, and she's about to get off a moving train. May we meet again. Remember, 7 times. And with that, she's disappeared into the darkness. We are free to move. So onwards we go. This door won't open anymore. Well, it wouldn't open before, and it still won't open. So we'll go back on ourselves now. Oh, it's locked here too. So it said spin 7 times. Maybe that's what I need to do. Is just like walk backwards and forwards. 6, 7. There we go. So looks like we've done it. We spin around, and it should take us home. That's what she said before disappearing into the darkness. So here we are, we're back on the train. It's all bright. Oh, and the door's opened. We're going to get off the train into the light. The end. Thanks for playing. So, that was the end of the game. Nice and intense. Nice mystery for us there. We don't know where he was, why he was, or what happened to him. Why he was surrounded by giant spiders and spider webs and then found himself in a better place. So that was The Last Train Home, or Last Train Home, available on itch.io, hby.itch.io//train-home, and you can play it yourself. Very cool, nice music, nice and creepy vibe, and a nice mystery for us. Nice creepy mystery, like where is this train, why is he on it, and who are these people and where do they go, and very cool. So I enjoyed that. Nice and short, nice and enjoyable. And with that, we'll move on to the next game. So that was cool, that was different. But next we have a game called So Hungry. This is available on lumpytouch.itch.io. It's a short walking sim. You wake up in the middle of the night to find something isn't right. Your house has changed. If the web builds lags, blah blah blah, move around with WASD, interact with E. So with that, we're going to jump in. I'm going to see what this game has in store for us. So another browser game available on itch.io, and we'll see if it's got any decent spooks in it. So we're loading the Unity player, and hopefully we'll be in very shortly. I was so hungry. Okay, so we're waking up in some kind of furry room. We've got a torch on the shelf. So I'm trying to move now. There's stuff moving around the room. But I do seem to be stuck. Oh, I can move now, okay. So here we go. I'm going to try to grab the torch. And then I'm going to just head out there and let's just see what's going on. So we've got corridors, we've got more rooms. We've got some kind of staircase into some kind of deep blue abyss. So we're going to go in here to get away from that alarm. The door's closed behind us. I can hear some growling. See, personally I'd turn around and go back, but we're going to have to just keep going. So we've got some kind of bread in the top right. Oh, it's Garfield. Oh no, if I know anything about the Garfield meme, this is about to get really spooky. So I'm guessing that's lasagna. We can't feed him the lasagna, but he is heavy breathing at us. Nice and freaky. But we'll keep going because I can't give him the lasagna. We can interact with stuff. And we'll see, so we've got him on the wall. And we're just looking around. We've got the stairs here. It's very hard to tell what's what because of the fur on the walls. But we're trying to navigate. We've got something here. It looks like a lasagna. So we'll see if we can now give him the lasagna. Yeah, press E. So that's one lasagna out of 3, right? So we've got to find 2 more lasagnas now. And then we can feed Garfield and hopefully get him to calm down, get off the walls. So he's in there. We're looking for lasagna. Maybe there's some in here. We've got a radio. Oh yeah, I can see one on the side right there. So we'll go take him this one, and then we've got one more to find. We'll feed Garfield because he's not having a good day and he needs his food. So there's his second lasagna. It's like the whole house is eating it. But there's the second lasagna, and now we just need one more. I wonder where the final lasagna could be hiding. So I mean, we could go check back upstairs if we don't find another room, but hopefully it's not that hard to find. We're looking. Very creepy feeling because the walls are just Garfield and it's just hard to navigate and uncomfortable. Definitely a feeling we found a door, but we cannot open it. So really, now we've got to do a bit of puzzling. Try and just see if we can figure out where this last piece is. So we'll go back upstairs. Because maybe we'll know, because the bar didn't kick in until we came down. So I don't think they'll put anything up there. Because otherwise we would have had the bar the whole time. But then again, am I missing a room? These doors are really hard to see. That's the kitchen area. That's the staircase. I'll try to figure out where we are. This is the dining room. This is the back room. And I think that's all of them. And then we've got 2 locked rooms. This one. And the one at the end. So yeah, maybe going back upstairs is the answer then. These doors are locked. There's no other rooms. And there was some other rooms up here. So maybe we'll find something useful at the top of the stairs. So up we go. And we'll see if we can find anything else in the Garfield house. So we just need one more lasagna. We've got some rooms. This one's locked. This one's locked. We've got the bathroom. Oh, and we have found a lasagna. So it was upstairs. We have it. Let's go take it to Garfield and get him fed. So last lasagna. We're going to see what happens when we feed him. We're hoping he calms down and peels himself off everything. But we'll see. He did apologise to us, so I don't think he means us any harm. I think he's just having a bad day. So we'll get him his lasagna. over here into the dining room, and then we head over there and give him his lasagna. So there you go, Garfield. He's always been fed. Oh, and we've done it. We've fed him. So I had to interrupt the recording there. Sorry about that. But yeah, we've done it. We have fed Garfield and he's calmed down. We have freed everybody. And that was creepy. That was different. Nice and memey, but nice and freaky. Good short little game. Quite enjoyed it. And yeah, good stuff for a browser game. The link was there. And yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. It's nice and different, nice and freaky feeling. But a little bit hard to see what was going on. So we've got 2 more to go. But to be completely honest, I've kind of run out of time here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the video here. And we're going to save these 2 for the next video. But otherwise, I've really enjoyed this time with you. And thank you for being here. And I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching. And, I'll see you next time. Goodbye. So, unfortunately, our video got cut off in the previous recording, but we're going to finish off these last 2 games just to finish the video, and then we'll move on to the next episode, which should be going up tomorrow. So, the next game that we have to play, the next browser game, is one called FeedVidLive, and it's created by Varun Ramesh.itch.io, and it's FeedVid-Live. So, FeedVidLive is a short puzzle game taking place in an unusual live streaming app. It's a standalone sequel to FeedVid. The games can be played in any order as the stories are not directly related. If you get stuck on a puzzle, check out the in-game hints. Warning: depicts mutilation, non-graphic, stalking, guns, and mental distress. And it's a 15 to 30 minute game time estimation. So with that, we'll just jump in and we'll see what type of game this is, and yeah, see if we get a good spook out of it. So this game contains content that may be distressing to some players. Headphones are recommended. Let's see what this is going to be. So we've got a mobile phone and it says new game and there's an I for information, and this would be the credits. So created by Varun R, and then a bunch of credits for where he's got his sounds and how he's made his assets. So we're going to go in, new game. So username would be SpookyLith. Age, we'll just put 22. And we'll start with that. So clips we think you'll like. Epic Jake cries on stream, mental breakdown. Angel Ava at the gym with a Lenny face. So far so good. And then we can scroll. So we've got Gamma Gamer swatted, Mr. Johnster destroys keyboard, rage quit, Creepy Man stalks Kitty 360 during IRL Steam. Now that sounds kind of creepy, doesn't it? So I think we're going to check this one out. Oh, failed to load clip, never mind. And we'll keep scrolling. Tokyo vlogs mugged in broad daylight, and in live channels we think you like, hitting the slots 18 plus, something that looks like Korean. Addressing the drama. Oh, we've got a notification in the top right. So let's go see. Viewer 598 gifted you a subscription. So I'm not sure what that means, but I think that means they've contributed to my page, which is awesome. Addressing the drama. Hot tub stream starting soon. Relaxing ASMR, and then at the bottom we have untitled stream by some unknown user. So I'm going to click that one because I'm guessing that's what it's wanting us to click. Yeah, we're loading in. Oh, here we go. We've got some kind of spooky camera feed. We can talk in chat. There's no one. We're the only person watching. So I'm going to say hi to the chat. See if we get a reply. Oh, it's like moving. Okay. Awesome bathroom cam. Smiley face. Oh, someone else has joined the chat. Oh, we've got some more people joining now. So, just clicked on what's this. It's nice and spooky, that's where it is. Not sure, it looks like a live stream from a bathroom stall. Someone else has joined. Did anyone else randomly get gifted a sub? So it looks like we all got a gift, and that's coming from this streamer. So what exactly are we looking at? It's a bathroom stall with a toilet, a door, and a drain. So they're lit up purple. So I wonder if I need to maybe type those things in. So let's type drain. Yep, and it's now moving over to the drain. We've got a viewer, we're looking down the drain. Wait, is there something in the drain? The cover is screwed shut there. Huh. Is there something in the drain? Well, we can't really tell, but it looks like there could be. Getting more viewers. The cover is screwed shut. Can they unscrew it? We need something to remove the screws. What, like a screwdriver? We'll see if we can trigger anything to happen with our replies, like a screwdriver. See if anyone replies to us. So no reply. We've got a grain we can't open. So I wonder if we can just type the next. So we'll type toilet. We'll try and make it look real, so we'll type. See if it works like this. What about the toilet? We're still getting streamers, so we're going to type that. And now he's heading over to a loo. We can see that the lid is shut, as someone has commented. The lid is shut. Open it. Open it, and he's lifted the toilet, and in there we have what looks like a screwdriver. So we're controlling the stream. So take the screwdriver. Oh, if I could spell. You knew what I meant.
Damn, that's gross, bro.
As someone's donated to tell him that he's disgusting for reaching into the toilet. So now we can go back over to the drain. It seems like we're leading this stream. Everyone else is just kind of watching. And now we're going to tell him to open the drain. Now he's going to unscrew it. So nice and different. And in there we have a key. Take the key. You can grab the key. This is quite cool. It's responding to the chat stream. Very interesting. And we've now taken the key, so I'm guessing we're going to go over to the door. We've now got nearly 100 viewers on this stream. The word is spread. People are tuning in to this weirdness. But no chat spam, so not very realistic. Looks like it's locked. Unlock it then. It's time to unlock it. With that key found, and now he is out.
Now this is content poggers.
And someone's donated $50, and they're loving the stream. He does look like something really dark. I can see why people would tune into this. So we've got another stall, a urinal, and there's also something behind us. So we're gonna go straight forward. Behind us. Oh, we've got some kind of spook in the doorway. Nice and weird. Someone's watching him from the door. People have actually started to leave the stream out of fear. No one's commented on it though. So we see a sink and a door. Let's check the door. It's got some kind of combination lock on it. And an eye. Some weird symbols. It looks like one of those door locks that needs a code. Oh, and someone's posted a screenshot of the weird symbols. Okay, let's try the sink. Oh, and now we've got some symbols drawn on the sink. But those symbols are not present in the screenshot, but we have got some letters. ACM. Fantastic, someone screenshot. So we're really trying to solve this mystery as a group. So we're going to go back to the door. I'm not sure how we're going to get him to type. Type the letters, nothing. Enter code. So now we need to figure out how to get him to type in the code. Well, we've got 3 letters, and he won't let us type, so we're going to go back to behind. Oh, the spook's gone from the door. And we're going to see, it looks like there might be more writing in these rooms, in these stalls, so we're going to go check the urinal. We have IUS, so that's 3 more letters. Are they going to take another screenshot for us? Yep. So XPX has screenshotted that. And now we're going to go over to the stall. See if we can get the last letters for the code that are written there on the toilet. So we've got RLO. So ACMIUS RLO. That's the code. Hey, anyone else see something written on the toilet? And Dave's capped a screenshot. No problem. And maybe now we can go back to the door. So he's definitely listening to me when I say stuff. That being hasn't come back. Didn't attack. So now we can go to the door. And hopefully we can now enter these symbols. So it won't let me click or do anything, so we've got to get this person behind the camera to do it. So maybe we type code. No, nothing happened. So how are we going to get him to... Maybe we can put that. No. So it hasn't given us a command to unlock the door. We definitely haven't missed anything, as far as I can tell. Let's go back to the sink. There's no real indication as to which order these letters are supposed to be in, and that's probably what we need to figure out. So we have the sink. Can we tell him to drink from the tap? First it worked. No, he won't drink. He's probably thinking we're an idiot, like what they're talking about. So we have 9 letters. We have a code keypad on the door, and we need to figure out how to get him to start trying these codes. So we can't click anything. We can't click the symbols. We can't click the keys. So we need a command to get him to type something into this door. So stall, urinal behind us, sink, and a door. We've checked all of them. We have our codes, and we need to get him to enter the code pad. So maybe we put like 1 to tell me which one to press. No, that's not going to work. It's not about us typing anything. So I'm not sure how we're going to get him to put this code in actually. We've got ACMIUS RLO. Maybe this is an anagram. I'm not sure. Maybe we need to type all the letters. IUSRLO. So we've got all the letters here. It does look like it could be an anagram. I'm not very good at those. Music lore or something, I don't know. We'll type that in, nothing happened. So I think it's an anagram. I think we need to figure out what the word is that it's trying to spell. So we're gonna go see if we can figure out what that word is. So I couldn't figure out what the word could be. I actually tried to use an anagram solver, and there's no 9-letter words coming up. So whatever this code is, it's not actually a word. So how can we get this open? We've got this picture of an eye, these symbols, and then a bunch of symbols and letters. We can see there's letters on the keypad, but we can't actually type onto the keypad, because it would be A, 3, and then one of these is M. Yeah, it's not acknowledging that. So no real clue as to how we get that code in. Maybe we haven't found all the letters, so we'll look around a bit more. Maybe we can go back through the door. No, he's just going to spin back to this one. Go back to the toilet. Just in case we've missed something. Paper, as in the toilet paper, and Open. Okay. Let's go back to the door. We'll just try some commands because we haven't really tried. Maybe open. Maybe unlock. No. Enter. Type. So we've kind of gotten stumped here. We can't figure out what we need to make him do next now that we have our screenshots. Clicking the screenshots didn't do anything. Typing them in didn't do anything. Oh, and we've now managed to lose. Alright, we can press restart. We just closed it by accident. No problem. Alright, let's see if we've got... So we've got some hints. Check these hints if you're stuck. Hints are ordered from most vague to most specific. So we'll try a hint. Do you notice any similarities between the markings on the door lock and the markings on the object? Well, yep. Next hint. Try using the markings on the bathroom objects as a translation guide. So it's a coolie. So he told us in the end. So let's see how we got that wrong. Is that O-C-U-L-I? Right, so he was meant to look for... I see what they wanted from us. Yep, we're supposed to match up the symbols in this to the symbols here. So that gives us O-C-U, and then L, and then I, so a coolie. So maybe we just type that, so we had to solve it, and then type, yep, and that's given us access. So good to know that's what, I wasn't sure what it wanted from us. I did think it might be an anagram, and we've got it now. We had to use the hints for that one, but at least we've managed to progress onto the next section. I'm not good with that kind of puzzle anyway.
Just got raided by Kanye, LMAO.
Oh, we just got a massive boost of however many thousands because some popular streamer has found us. Here we are in the next room. So Jesus Christ, is that a body? Not sure, but I think I see a locker and a door. There's also some kind of drawing on the wall. So we can see the drawing. It's like a grid of numbers. We've got a potential body here, and then we've got two things to go look at over there. So we're going to check the body first. Let's go see what's going on with this body. We've got a hand. So this would get us banned. This would get our stream banned most probably. But this person is, they're going to get away with it for now. We've got something on the hand here. It looks like a T. Is that a hand? No. Okay, so we've got something on the hand. It won't let us do much else. So we'll move on to the locker. So that could have been a 7 or it could have been a T. We're going to check the locker, which now has a code on it. And I'm guessing this marking on the wall is going to be the combination. So we've got 1 dots, 2 dots, 3 dots in lieu of numbers. And I'm guessing this again is going to be... I think I've seen something like this in last class magic squares. Right, each row and column and both diagonals have the same sum. Right, so it's a math problem. So each row, column, and diagonals have the same sum. So across, down, and diagonally should equal, should equal the same sum. So once again, this is where we're going to see my lack of basic skills, basic mathematics and whatnot's going to affect us. But we'll try and solve this and see if we can figure out what the sum is. Now I'm thinking it's 10 just looking at it, because we've got 2, 7, 9, 8, 1, 9, and then 2 dots. But then here we have 4, 5, which is 9. So our 1 here would make that 10. And yeah, no, but then again this diagonal equals 15, because that's 7 plus 8, so 15. And then we have 1, 6 and something, 7, 5 and something. So because we've already got this completed bit, we can see that the sum is 15. So that means this would need to be a 6, which would make all of these equal 15. And if that's a 6, that would be 12. That wouldn't be enough. So I'm guessing it is 3 different numbers. So 6 plus 9. 6 plus 9. I think that does equal 15. And then 3 here, so 3, 6, 9 looks like to be the answer. I don't know if we type that in or whether that's going to be the actual combination. We'll go back to the locker and check. So that's what I think the solution is. How we actually use that, I don't know. We'll type it in here and see if that allows us to open the locker. We're giving him a code. Oh, and it looks like we're in. Yep, so the locker's open. We found a saw. We'll take that. And then we're going to go back to the body. I know, gruesome. My mind's gone in a gruesome direction. We haven't even checked the door, but I'm guessing there's another kind of lock on it. And what we're going to do is, hopefully I'm just right by assuming that we're going to take this person's hand. Okay, I guess not. And it's me being violent, getting ahead of myself, so we're going to go back over to the door and see what we need to interact with it. We have a saw, yep, and it does need a hand scan. We probably have to check it first, so we don't look like total psychos. But yeah, the door opens with a hand scan, and then we have a body in the middle of the room with his hand exposed, leading me to believe that we need his hand. But how do we do that? Alright, type saw. There we go. And we are now doing something a little bit extreme that we probably shouldn't be talking about too much, and with that we should now be able to open the door. So we got holy shit in the comments. People are thinking this can't be real. They're just seeing a corpse get his hand sawn off. Well, it's implied that it happened. We've got 80k people watching. Twitch hasn't shut down the stream. They're even watching. But I suppose with something like this in this situation, when you think about it, you would want the stream to sort of continue just so you can figure out what's going on and where, because if you just cut the stream off, then you're going to lose a lot of information about what's actually going on. But I suppose Twitch could probably remove a stream from the main page while also leaving it open behind the scenes. But yeah, you wouldn't want to shut the actual stream down. You'd want to keep watching so that the police, so whoever else is investigating, has time to figure out what might be going on here. Because there could be a big reveal, it could all be a joke, it could be a spooky horror show. Who knows, right? So important to watch, important to pay attention and see what might be actually happening. But we've just seen what could potentially be a hand getting sawn off. Now we're going to time to use the hand and see if this is what we needed to open the door.
This is the biggest stream on the site right now.
So someone's donated $500 just to tell them this is a big deal. 150k viewers. And now we're at some kind of hallway. We're looking down, looking around, and we have 3 directions we can go in. Nope, and he's just going forward. Oh, and he's fallen into some kind of trap and got his hands trapped. Oh, and now there's some kind of saw coming towards us. We tell him to run. So this is very much, it looks like this person is the victim. Get out, saw fingers, yep. Get here. Where we get out in time is to cut his fingers off. You can hear him heavy breathing. Oh! And it hurt. They're not having a good time. Damn. And we can hear the suffering from removing their fingers, but better than getting their heads sawn off.
Hello, L Nice.
Lol, someone's done it. It's 69,420 just to say lol nice. We're dropping viewers dramatically. That was obviously too much for people, and now we're down to 7k, 3k, 1k. It's dropping. And now there is only 4 viewers. Catherine was banned, Trista was banned, so that's 2 of them. Hey, what the fuck, and XPX was banned, which just leaves 1 viewer, which is us. Oh, and now they've found some kind of cult after everyone's been kicked. We're the only ones watching. Oh, someone has joined. Someone else has joined. Alright. People are joining, but they're joining. Oh, watch them suffer, 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 watch them suffer. Wow. So a bunch of unknowns have joined and they've spam chat with watch them suffer as the cult was on the screen. We've got some armed soldiers, and then we've got a bright light. They're continuing up the stairs, injured, in a lot of pain. They've just seen this cult, probably terrified, walking up towards the light. And now there's a bunch of strangers in the chat with us with anonymous tags, and they've spammed watch them suffer as this person ascends up the staircase. It's gone all white, we can hear the footsteps. We'll see. Oh wow, okay. And that seems to be the end. Got some music which is probably copyrighted, so we're going to turn that down. Get rid of that. So I don't know what that song was, but hopefully it doesn't get claimed or anything. So yeah, that was FeedVid Live, created by Varun R. Very different. They're going through some kind of puzzle, some kind of situation in the dark. It's obviously done as a stream. Yeah, very different. Very interesting ending. It was just very similar to the train one, women just disappearing into the light. Anything could have happened. We don't know what was going on, and it's up to our imaginations to decide what just happened. There were soldiers, there was the cult guys in their robes, and then a staircase and some light. Very different. Who knows where our streamer ended up, and who knows what happened to us, because for whatever reason we was whittled down to be the only person in the stream. So they knew we was watching. We don't know why. We don't know why we was watching that, but we've seen it, and yep, very cool. Definitely a bit creepy. Just never really knowing what's going on. The sudden escalation in the situation was good. We went from walking around in the darkness. We saw that weird monster. It was never seen again. Very cool. Very interesting game. I enjoyed playing that. And yeah, if you want to play it yourself, it's over on varunramesh.itch.io/feedvid-live, and you can play it yourself. I recommend you give it a go, show it to your friends. Nice and different, very cool, very well made. And with that, we're going to move on to the last browser game that we have for this video, and this one is titled Solitary, created by Venus, available on venus.itch.io/solitary. The game is best played downloaded, but you can play it in the browser. Use the mouse to look around, left mouse button to interact, and WASD keys to move. Bang on the door if you're unsure what to do. This game is a submission to the 2-minute horror game Jam. This is my first game, so please enjoy it for what it is. You awaken in a dark, damp room with nothing but a chair, table, and the sound of a broken radio to keep you company. No matter how much you bang on that door, nobody will ever come for you. Succumb to the despair of loneliness and insanity. So, Solitary, we're going to open it up and see what kind of game is waiting for us on the other side. So the Unity player is loading. We've got our intro screens. And here we are. So I think we can make this full screen, so we'll do that. And with that, we'll jump in. We'll also bring the audio back, because it's currently turned down. And then we'll see what type of game this is. So we're in the room. The res isn't amazing. I think we're strapped to a chair. Oh no, we can move. Okay, we can move. We've got what looks like a radio, a table, a chair, and nothing else. So we can bang on the door. Oh, some music started playing. Well, that was odd. Oh, we've got some music. Kind of makes it feel a little bit less scary. Nice jolly music. We'll just sit in the corner and sulk while the music plays. It's a nice cheerful tune. Hopefully it's not gonna get claimed. It does sound like an old one, so I think we'll be okay. See if we can get this switched off. It was nice to have a little tune. So the radio seems to do stuff actually, so maybe we can just keep cycling channels. Nah, there's nothing else on the radio. And once again, we're back stuck in the room. ADHD's kicking in and we have absolutely nothing to do. So we're going to go bang on the door again and just see what happens next. So we're banging on the door, nothing to it. Oh, and some paper has appeared on the table. You are alone. Put that, and it's just appeared out of nowhere. Just to remind us that we're alone. The music has come back on. Slightly more cursed, but we're going to just switch that off. And just, I guess, walk around. So we woke up, we're alone in this cell. We've got nothing but a radio that just seems to randomly play circus music. And notes are appearing telling us that we are, in fact, alone. So no bed, we can't lay down. We've got to just pace around or sit in this uncomfortable looking chair. We can bang on the door, we can change the radio station, but not find anything. There's nothing out there, there's no stations. And yeah, we're just alone in a cell, trapped, with no way of getting out. We can bang on this door more. The person's getting very agitated, and things do seem to happen. Oh, the music's even more cursed. Just to mess with us, so now we'd be getting really uncomfortable, like why is the music getting more distorted? But nothing else has happened. Seems like banging the door just gets the radio to work. And here we are, ADHD just pacing around the room. Not much else to do. Just pace and just be in this room. We can bang on the door somewhere, see what else happens. And generally just... So again, the cursed music. Very cursed! Oh! I tried to turn the radio off and the door swung open. Oh, so into the darkness we go. There's a light at the end and we're just going to walk towards that light. That was very cursed. That was nice and freaky. I expect the radio to go off, and instead the door swung open, and I just happened to be looking to see it, and yeah, that was pretty good. So we're walking. The music doesn't seem to be getting further away. There we go, and the entrance to the tunnel is getting closer, so we can see the cell back there. We're about to enter into the light. Get out of that cell. So the moral of the story is agitation works, and with that we have entered into the light and once again disappeared into the unknown. So again, another browser game with a similar ending. You know, we get out of the room just to find ourselves being taken to some all-light plane and disappearing through some kind of portal, never to be seen or heard from again. So that was the last browser game. Very cool little experiment, you know. It's a short experience, it's only a couple minutes, but you know, just a cool little idea that they had. You're stuck in a room, you're alone, there's nothing you can do, but as we saw, you know, there was something we could do, which was to just repeatedly bang on the door, and he got sick of us and let us out. But yeah, another browser game, similar ending. This was Solitary by Venus, available on venus.h.io/solitary. Definitely cool, definitely different, and good job to Venus for creating it. Thank you for sharing it with us. So with that, we're going to close that tab, and those were our 4 browser games. Nice and different, nice and interesting. You know, I definitely was compelled to get through to the ending to see what happened. Definitely interesting, definitely enjoyed them, and I recommend you go try them out and see some of the other games by those creators. So yep, that was the browser game section, and with that we are now going to end this particular video. I think we've hit the right amount of time for length, and yeah, it's been fun playing those games, fun looking at the spookiness with you, and obviously discussing the news. So thank you for tuning into this episode. I'm SpookyLith, and I will see you on the next video. So take care. Goodbye.